1. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special edition of the Marvel Roundtable right here on the Horny Goat YouTube channel, youtube.com/hornygoat, obviously. And this is, of course, it's Monday, which means, you know what that means, it is edition of the Marvel Roundtable. Now, normally, this is the show where each and every single week we dive deep into every single movie and TV show in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But considering that we have just broached Phase 4, we are just about to enter into Phase 4, and we just went through 23 MCU movies in a row, I figured it would time to give my wonderful friends here a break from anything Marvel or, watching Marvel stuff, sort of, kind of, as we have a little fun this evening, trying to do an S-tier ranking system for every single Marvel cinematic movie. So this will be certainly not a friendship ender. Certainly, this will absolutely strengthen our bonds together. Through the annals of time. Absolutely. Of course, you guys know me. I'm Conor, aka Mr. Marvel 613, and of course, I've got with me the power couple of the Horny Goat channel. I got JP and Heather. What's up, folks?
I'm home. Thank fucking God, because fuck flying.
You'd make a terrible Superman.
DC, damn it.
Yeah,
DC.
but if I was flying myself, if I was able to fly, I wouldn't have turbulence.
You'd probably be dead.
I wouldn't fly 35,000 feet above the fucking ground. Fuck that shit. No. I hate flying. I've done it 100 times, and every time is worse.
You hate every time.
Thank God the pilots know what the fuck they're doing, because I literally, on the flight today, or was it on the way home, or on the way out there? We hit turbulence. We hit a cloud on the way out there. I didn't tell you guys this. I literally we hit turbulence coming down, and I literally out loud said, fuck this shit. And everybody turned around and fucking looked at me like I was fucking crazy.
Can't imagine why.
You should have followed up. We're all gonna die.
That's what I thought. I thought we were going down, man. I'm not shitting you.
That would have gotten the air marshal a nice little comfy seat right next to him.
I know you got some wild shit going on.
I know I had to fix the screens a little bit here. Sorry about that.
Bear with us.
Yeah, I'm good now. We're good. We should be good now. Speaking of bears, we got Canadian Baseman with us. What's up, Baseman?
What's up? My only question is, why is there no F tier? I went to school and I got Fs.
Because we were
when I was bad.
F with S, so.
Yeah, we never really had an S tier.
Right.
A++. Never got those either.
This is gonna be fun. This is. Yeah. I can already tell this is gonna be enjoyable. And we've of course got with us Senor Bobbit. What's up, Bobbit?
Oh, doing pretty good. Spending most of my day trying to download updates and ship a new phone. Trying to
about your new fucking phone. I'm just
get used to that, and I'm ready to rank some miles.
That too. We got some wonderful people, of course, joining us in the chat as usual. We got Alva, we got Cody, we got Federico, we've got Tim, we've got Megzi, we got, I believe I saw him. Was he in there? Was Jurgen Muyen in there? I think he was. No, Paul Arzola.
He's there in the shadows somewhere. You know he is.
Paul Arzola, and we got Aru Shinshu. Thank you all for tuning in here. Again, apologies for the delay and the technical difficulties, because whenever I run shit, there's bound for something to go wrong. But anywho, yes, it is exactly as you've seen here. You may have seen these S-tier rankings. You may have seen these lists popular all over the interwebs in terms of how people rank certain things. So I figured we've been through enough. We've been through 23 fucking Marvel movies, and so I figured it was time to somewhat, relatively turn our brains off as far as doing the reviews. And so I figured we're going to review or we're going to try to collectively rank the first 23 MCU movies. Now, obviously, you can see here from the S-tier ranking, it does include Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home. We are not going to rank those because we haven't reviewed those yet. We'll get those when we get there. But we're going to be basically doing everything as far as ranking these, starting from Iron Man, going all the way through to Spider-Man Far From Home. So this will be quite a doozy. So we might as well kick things off Now, before we get into that, obviously we have the S ranking, as you can see from the screen over here. S being the supreme, the best. A, B, C, and D. So D probably being the absolute worst of the worst. So we're gonna try and collectively get together here and see where we're gonna put these things. I'm already like getting stressed just thinking about this because I feel like this is gonna be arguments across the board. All right. With that being said, let's kick this puppy. Let's start with Iron Man 1. Where do you guys think we should put Iron Man 1 in this whole thing?
I would put that about a B.
Now, obviously, we don't have to
I
put...
have a lot to say, but I won't say anything yet.
What?
Well, I mean, you also have to look at, like, are we just looking at it as like a movie or what it also did for Marvel as a whole? Because Iron Man,
Started it all. I know.
Mhm.
yeah, it was a launching point, and I thought it was pretty good. I'm surprised it started with, well, actually, it's the right move to start it with a character that's human, even though they all become superhuman, regardless of suits and whatnot. But it's more like a grounded in reality movie.
So where would you put it, Mason?
I mean, it might. Okay, here's the thing. If I say right now where I think I should put it, can I move it later?
Well, we have to collectively
Or
come to a
yeah,
decision on
Agree
this. I
on
mean,
one spot.
that's
because
the-
I do
that's the
think
kicker.
it's like I would say probably a B, but it might be a low A. But I know there's no such thing.
We can always revisit later on once we, you know what, I'll tell you what, we can revisit once we get through the phases and say like, all right, should we rearrange anything, and we can come back and make it. I honestly think B is probably the best place for Iron Man, to be honest with you. Like A.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, what Basement asked, are you going to base this on what it did for the
The
I
MCU.
mean, it's
MCU.
based off of what we feel about the movie, regardless of what, in terms of the whole standalone thing. You could,
I mean, I agree with Basement here. If I'm going to put the movies where they should go, where I'm going to put Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War already.
That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
However, I am going to one night, and one night only, I'm going to take they should have died in the first 5 minutes out of everything.
Right.
I'm gonna let. So what I'm saying is what the movie did for. That's what I'm basing it off of.
I would say that's part of it. Part of
them
it, like
too.
include that part as well as the movie as a movie,
Yeah,
and
you
as
can do
well
whatever
as
you want with it.
comparing it.
It's
I'm
your
only
thoughts.
comparing these to the other Marvel movies. I'm not
Okay.
comparing them as movies in general. Like, this is a 10 out of 10. I would never say that for any of the Marvel movies. That's
Right.
on a
Right.
scale. But this is Marvel versus Marvel, so
That's how I'm going to do it, because if I was to rank some of these movies, they'd all be D's for me.
I think
But-
I think B is fair because I think it's a solid start to everything. I think that I feel like A is it's not. I actually completely agree with Basement. It's not quite an A, but it's
agree.
dangerously close because it's just such a
agree.
simple. It's not just the
I'm
fact that
not
it started the
disagree.
MCU. It's not the thing of like greatness, but it's not obviously terrible by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very solid beginning.
No.
I have one more question.
I think when I go ahead.
All I want to say is, like, within the rankings themselves,
Mhm.
do we have like a placement of where those movies end up? So, for instance, if we put Iron Man in B, and say for all of a sudden Hulk ends up in B, are we saying Iron Man as being the first or the top of the B is the best of the B movies,
No,
or is that too complicated?
you're thinking about this way too much.
You're splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah, it's
So
just
I
fair.
do agree. I do agree, but it might move up for me. Might.
so.
So I agree with you guys. B.
For right now, everybody's saying
I
B.
agree with a B.
Bobbit said nothing, so
Bobbit.
I agree that it should be B, honestly.
All right, we're gonna for now. we're going to put Iron Man on the B ranking. And of course, let us know, too, in the chat what you guys think of where these movies should be going, because I'm sure we're going to be revisiting and rearranging these depending on how things go. Because you're right. I mean, I get where you come from, Basement, in the sense of, like, you know, if we look at these collectively, like, oh, there's a chance that, you know, this might fit here, or it might, you know, now looking at it from a bigger picture. Okay, I go with that. Incredible Hulk, the Edward Norton version. Where would that rank on this one?
Okay. I want to start off on this. I think this should be a D, just because overall in the MCU, this movie is pretty much the black sheep of the MCU, because plus they retconned that whole Hulk anyway because of the contract dispute with Edward Norton and with Mark Ruffalo. So this movie shouldn't even be in the MCU.
You know, I don't.
Connor, can you explain why it is? You explained it to me.
What? Why? What about
Why
This Hulk is in and not the others.
So there's rumors and speculation of why Norton was kicked out of the MCU. Norton will say it was a contract dispute / money, but I believe the other big reasons, specifically the reason there hasn't been a Hulk movie, is because technically Universal Studios still owns the rights to doing individual Hulk movies. That's why Hulk hasn't had its own solo outgoing in the MCU since this one. But as far as Edward Norton specifically, a lot of people have pointed to that he was just an absolute pain in the ass to work with. Specifically that he is he tends to...
He's a control freak.
Yeah,
he's a control freak.
Very big on, like,
yeah,
getting involved in the project and getting to the point where, like, he does, like, creative control and stuff like that. So...
I mean, I don't think on marital, just saying it's a black sheep, looking at it from like what it did for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it introduced a character. It's probably the worst of the bunch for introducing a character, because they recast it. That's the big problem. The movie itself wasn't terrible. Like I have to
better
take
than the
into
2003 Hulk that they did with Ang Lee. Although there are parts of Ang Lee ones that I like, but I thought this one had merit to it. But
this one was less campy than that one.
It was a little bit more boring somehow too. I don't know about you guys.
Just
which is
it's
weird
hard
to
to make
have
a
a
Hulk
movie boring, but you know, I think that D is too low. I think C is probably
I was
where
just
I'd
gonna
put
say
it.
a C might move up to B, because I really like this movie.
Oh, for me, it's a C that might move down to D.
Not
Where
for me. Not for me.
I feel like it probably will end up staying at C for me personally.
All right,
but I think a C is the generalization here.
all right. We'll keep Hulk at the C for right now, and then like I said, we can always revisit if things go on. So we're gonna move Incredible Hulk to C. Iron Man 2. The sequels are always.
Before we get there, I do want to say that Frank in the chat has joined in the chat, and he said Iron Man is an A, and we did have that discussion. We don't know where it's going to end up. What's up, Megsy? She's in the chat.
Right now, it's a high B, low A. If I'm basing everything off of what the movie does for the MCU, I'm not basing it off how the fucking movie is, what the movie did.
I think the movie is pretty good though. Like Iron Man is pretty good.
That's the thing, is that Iron Man's tricky, but like I said, this is going to be the thing, is that it's hard. I figured this to be a fun challenge, and I don't know why I torture myself with this, to do a collective challenge to have us try to collectively rank these movies, which, you know, obviously I know there's going to be some that are going to be harder to rank than the others.
Look at that. You got Irushin Chu giving Iron Man a D, Megsy saying it's an A, and then you've got Frank saying Hulk is a C.
Y'all have to remember, we aren't basing it off how the movie sold or how we review. I'm not doing that. So when I give the movie what I think it is, because I actually enjoyed the Hulk.
Me too. I think it's a B movie, but it did nothing for the MCU.
I think I gave it like a 6. a 6 out of 10 or whatever, or 6.5. Why? Because I enjoyed it.
You just like
But that
everyone
doesn't
in his underwear.
mean in the MCU itself that it should be a D. What did the Hulk do for the MCU? What did the movie itself do for the MCU? That's what I'm basing it off of. And I think it
will say
did okay.
I think it did more as a movie than it did for the MCU,
Yes.
which is where I'd say it did D for the MCU and B for a movie, so C is where it belongs. For me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right, fair enough. Iron Man 2. This one's interesting.
For me, if I was doing it the way Basement was, maybe a C, but probably a D.
Thor 2, yeah, definitely a D.
No, Iron Man 2.
Thor?
I said Iron Man.
Oh,
No,
I
you
thought
did
you
not.
said
She
Thor.
said she
Iron
did say
Man
Thor.
2.
She did say Thor. I heard it.
Iron Man
Yeah,
2.
I was not a fan of this movie at all.
Wasted
And
potential.
what did it do to further? The only thing that this movie did, no, it didn't even
It helps set up
develop his
Shield a little bit more.
PTSD. Go ahead.
No, just saying it helps establish a little bit more of Shield, and Nick Fury. Really, I mean, and introduced War Machine. That's about really the two big. Oh, and they recasted. Speaking of recast, Don Cheadle enters the MCU as Rhodey, which I still say was probably one of the most clever little like meta jokes as far as how they recast somebody in the early days of the MCU. It's like, oh, I didn't think it was you. I'm here. I'm now. Let's just get this over with. Like I love that meta joke.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a terrible. I look at this movie and I think of missed opportunity.
Yes.
Just as a movie itself. What's his fucking nuts? Vladimir
Hammer?
Big Laser Arms.
Oh,
what's his fucking
Whiplash.
name?
You're talking about
the actor's name. Well, it doesn't matter. That's who I'm talking about.
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke's actually a pretty damn good actor.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke is a pretty damn good actor, and I think from what I understood, he wanted to put a lot more into this role. I thought he would get a lot more out of it, and they kind of gypped that in favor of bullshit. Still not a bad movie, but I don't know. It progresses the MCU. I'm gonna stick with the C on this one. It's not as good as Iron Man 1, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree with you. It's definitely not as good as Iron Man 1. I think that like where we were trying to put like Iron Man 1 between B and A, I would definitely put Iron Man 2 between C and B.
Yeah, I agree with that actually.
But if we have to do it this way, then yeah, I think C would probably be the best. The issue I think we all talked about this was that Iron Man 2 tried to do too much in one movie because it had like so many things going on with it. So yeah, I'd go with C. I'd go with a C.
Where I'm at.
It's tough because it's like it would be right in the between if I had the ability.
The movie was too messy for me to be considered better, and I don't think it did it. Like it progressed the MCU, but it wasn't game changing or anything for the MCU.
No.
So C, I think, is where it's.
I'm trying to think what the end credit. Oh, the end credit scene was Mjolnir. I was trying to think what the end credit scene was, like what's it setting up in the next. So you think C?
I'm good with C.
I'm good with C.
Yeah.
Everybody's going with C.
C
like
sounds.
I said, C, but possibly a D.
Yeah, no, we're gonna seesaw on a couple of these things. I know for sure. Thor.
F.
Well,
joking.
A for me. For me, it's an A.
Thing is, if I'm gonna put Thor as an A, I've got to put Iron Man as an A.
I was about to say
You know what I mean?
Thor and Iron Man
Like,
are on the same.
That's my problem.
Are on the same level. So if I'm, yeah, to me, Thor and Iron Man are on the same. So if Iron Man's B, then Thor's this exact same thing. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think that they're both very solid movies.
See, I thought Thor was better than Iron Man.
Ooh.
So did I.
So you would put
Thor's
you
my,
would put Thor at
my
A.
favorite movie in the MCU.
No, I can get that because like of Thor being like we had this conversation before. Thor being fucking not from Earth and being a god, so a lot of what they say about him makes sense. If we look at everybody else, it's like okay, everyone should die,
I
but
can't
he
I
is
can't
not
make
that
him
way.
an A on the basis of the eyebrows.
And the super white face.
Well, the eyebrows that didn't it didn't really help. But
Hawkeye was in this.
It also gave us Loki, which is one of the best characters in the MCU across the board.
Well, Thor is one of the best characters too, in my honest opinion. They do a lot with Thor moving forward, and I mean, this is the introduction to Chris Hemsworth as Thor. But I'd argue to say he's one of the best casting choices they've made because his versatility was kind of limited in this one, but they go on to really do a lot more with him. He's got great comedic timing. He kind of reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger if he could act better and speak proper. This is if Iron Man's a B, this is a B for me. They'll move together as one unit.
Oh, this is gonna be the first of many tough ones. I mean, I'm right there with you.
I still say A, and I'll argue.
For me personally,
it might be.
Go ahead, Bobbit.
I love the first Thor movie, but I don't love the other ones. So I'm going to put this as I guess the B on this because there's more. The ones later on I loved more.
Help me God, if you put fucking Black Panther in an S, I'm gonna jump through the screen and punch you in the face.
No, God, no, Lord, no.
Black Panther at an S ranking on this. Spoiler alert. I don't think we're gonna put Black Panther as an S ranking. All right, so I'll put Thor for B for now.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like Thor and Iron Man are kind of like the characters that slowly become more comedic and more quippy, or in Iron Man's case, immediately become that way. But he's a dickhead, and Thor is just naive. It's like a fish out of water story.
Yeah.
But it's also like
there's also simplicity in the story, and it's actually out of all the movies, like you're looking at like the core, like, and this is a bit of a spoiler ahead of the game, but like, and this is when we get to it. But I'm a massive fan of the Shang-Chi movie, and it's the same reasons I'm a big fan of the Thor movies because it's relatively simple. I mean, not that there aren't more like similar movies that have like a simplistic story to them as far as the character and whatnot, but generally speaking, they kind of have the same vibe as far as like the relatively simple idea of a story of I can follow this, I get the idea, and the idea of like Thor trying to be redeeming himself is worthy, despite him doing it in less than a fucking day, but that's semantics.
But also to have like a movie that introduces a completely different realm.
It's true.
Like Iron Man is all on Earth. The Thor starts in Asgard and gets banished and comes to Earth, and it's so palatable because the movie doesn't overwhelm an audience, and it manages to juggle relative seriousness with relative comedy, all at the same time. And some of the casting is fucking incredible. I mean, you got Anthony Hopkins in there, Chris Hemsworth.
As Odin, the best dad in the world.
I gotta go now. Dad is asleep on the ground beside him.
All right, we'll put Thor at B for now. We'll put Thor at B for now, and we'll see how it goes from there. Captain America, the first Avenger, S automatically. S all the way. No, fucking no.
B. I'm not gonna fucking give Captain America fucking A or an S if you're not gonna fucking give Thor or Iron Man. I'm serious.
No, I know.
This is where Captain America
fucking teasing.
Them three are as equal as it gets.
I'm 100% in the same boat. It goes exactly where Thor and Iron Man. If Iron Man and Thor go up to an A, Captain America goes with them. A lot of people didn't like this movie, or felt it was boring. But for me,
slow start.
But I like the start more than the finish.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, for the record, for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Captain America fan. And just to be very transparent, if we were to like really like put a ladder system to this, I would actually put the Captain America First Avenger movie just a hair behind Iron Man and Thor. I think those two movies are a little bit better, but Cap is right on their tails. So yeah, if we were gonna do this, I don't think it's the level of Hulk and Iron Man 2. So for the purposes of this exercise, yeah, I'd probably put it at a B.
You know why it's so good with like why I'm going to say all three of them are so good is because all three movies are for me equal, and all three movies show very different heroes in the MCU, as different as you can kind of get.
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So we'll put Cap at a B for now.
Good old
I'm
Cap.
fine with that.
All right. Rounding out phase 1 of the MCU is the assembling of Earth's mightiest heroes for the very first time. The first Avengers movie. There is, I don't know why, but there is an inkling for me to want to give this an A for the sole purposes of it being just the team up.
Oh, I'm definitely going A for Avengers.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
not
going A
S.
too.
I am stressing this right now. It is not an S by any stretch of the imagination. No, but I think A is fair.
No, God no.
Really?
Mm.
He just says it and stops talking.
What, Bobby?
Can't wait to see where he puts Ultron then.
So I think he was agreeing with Connor that it's not S tier.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't. Harsh truth. Frank in the chat is saying Avengers is an S. Well, some of the Avengers movies are an S. This one is not. For me, the first time of seeing like the superhero group come together and it being done well, I like the movie, but it's how the movie is managed how the movie is managed. Sorry, or how they like kind of plot the movie and include everybody and give them all chances to shine, and what it does for the MCU. At this point, this movie does more for the MCU than any of the other movies we've seen.
Plus, and I could be wrong, this is the first time a big superhero team up has happened on the big screen, right? There hasn't been a Justice League before this.
Well, especially this is the first time, and especially with like movies leading into it. This is
Yeah.
like season finale of Marvel Phase 1.
So, man, I think A is where it should go.
I'm good with that.
I'm
The
not
only
saying
superhero
anything.
team up I could think
You
of
gotta
before this
consider
was
both.
Fantastic Four.
But they were
Yeah, but they didn't have individual stories.
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
This is the first undertaking of its kind. So I think, and maybe that's just me. Like I said, maybe A is.
I'm with you with A for the sole reason that it was groundbreaking. The movie itself was a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
But the
Also because
Go ahead, Bobby.
okay, I'm not going to give this an A because of the team up, but it was also the first introduction of Thanos. And watching back then, you didn't know it was. I didn't know it was Thanos until after I got to the theater.
Okay.
they have a couple good Easter eggs there, and for me, like the this is the better showcasing for the Hulk than the Hulk movie. And I like the Hulk, and I thought they did him best in this movie versus any other movie that he's in.
You really don't like the way they handled the Hulk in the MCU, do you?
Not that much. They always seem to like hold him down for some reason, because if they let him go, he'd be wild. But I like the way this movie handles him.
Well, I found out the Russo
Except for the
brothers
fact that
basically
he
admitted.
just-
I found
all
out
of a
later that
sudden
the
it's
Russo
fine.
brothers just admitted that, like, yeah, we didn't know what to do with the Hulk in Endgame, so.
I mean, once you get to the point of watching this movie and you just accept the fact that all of a sudden he's fine and is controlled because he can talk to everybody, and okay, then they do pretty good with him. So yes, and I think an A for Avengers.
All right.
That's for me, and I don't know.
So, I guess
JP didn't say anything, so get him.
D?
B.
Oh. Do we want to bump Iron Man, Thor, and Cap up to A? Not everybody at once now. Calm down.
Say that again.
Do
I'm
we
sorry.
want to bump Iron Man,
Yeah,
Thor,
I do.
and Cap up to A?
No. Not yet.
You think we should keep them at? Should we make any changes?
Because if you're going to do that, I think you should. I think you
Take a
should bump
piss.
Hulk up to B. Sorry, I don't care.
No, I'd leave them as is for now. Maybe when we get through the next phase, we can reorganize because things start to get a bit more different.
Such as Iron Man 3.
Yeah, that's a D immediately. D.
Yeah,
D.
Movie is
for the whole
Iron Man 3, I just leave it where it is.
yeah, it doesn't even deserve to be ranked. It was literally absolutely terrible. Like whoever was in charge of this should be taken out and shot.
The only thing that this movie did is put out the fact that Tony Stark now has PTSD, and then he learns how to manage it 3/4 of the way through the fucking movie, which is fucking possible. So
I mean, he's fucking Tony Stark. He can do almost anything, right? Apparently, conquer.
What?
Yeah, no, I think we're all on the same page. That Iron Man 3 is one of the worst ones in the entire MCU.
It might be, yeah, it's definitely one of the worst. I don't know if I'm going to say it's the worst, but it's definitely there.
It's one of the worst, and it's not that there's not like redeemable things about it, but it's not very out of place. Very out of place.
Yeah, the problem is I'm going to want to put things in D that should not be close to Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is like, yeah, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
It's
Thor:
terrible.
The Dark World.
Waste of time.
I know where I want to put this one.
I'm of two minds.
now this is where I might move the first 3 that we have in B up to A, because I would put Thor Ragnarok just a little bit below
Dark
Thor.
World.
Or Dark
Yeah.
World, I'm sorry, just a little bit below. I like this movie as well.
So do I.
And it's not as, for me, it's not as bad as what we have in C.
right.
Yes, agreed with that.
So at this time, I'm going to say B.
Yes.
I'm
That's
going to
exactly
tell
where I
you
was gonna put
Thor
it.
is better.
And I think now's the time, like JP said, for me at least, if this is going B, then the 3 in front of it are going to A.
All right, there we go.
I agree.
Thor: The Dark World has been bumped up to, or is now in B. Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America: First Avenger are now up with A with the Avengers. I'm right there with you. It's funny that like people still like shit on this movie so badly, but I just I think it's
I don't
grossly.
understand why.
I did not like it the first time I watched it.
It introduced one of the Infinity Stones.
I think the reason is the villain. I think the villain is just very.
But it's not about the see. Here's the thing this is what blows my mind. Everybody keeps talking about the villain this, the villain that, the villain this, the villain. They make the movie. No, they don't. The movie is actually about it. It can be, but the movie should actually be about the superhero. It's a fucking Avenger movie, essentially, not the fucking villain. If you want to do that, make a villain movie. Like they did with fucking Infinity War.
I was
I
saying.
think also the one thing that people like tend to forget is the original Thor's villain. Yeah, it was Loki, but like who he fought was most of the time just generic whatevers, right?
Right.
Then Avengers comes out and Loki is the villain there. So this movie really needed to be more about the main character. Didn't need to be about anything else that was going on.
Correct.
And I only really got that when we started watching them every week. When I watched this regularly, I was like, I'm not a fan of this movie that much.
It's tough shoes to fill with Loki. I'll say that right now. Like it is very tough shoes. I mean, shit. That's what probably was one of the best parts of this movie was more Thor and Loki interaction. That was one of the highlights of this movie for me. So I think it's better than Hulk. I think it's better than Iron Man 2, but it's definitely not as good as the ones that we put up in the A ranking. So I think B is a safe space for it. This one I know we're going to be fighting over, which is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I fucking love this movie.
See,
Damn it. And here we go. If we're looking at this from the MCU, this is a pivotal movie, even for like the bigger scope of things. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. is dead after this.
Okay.
And you basically don't have your strategic homeland, whatever the fuck S.H.I.E.L.D.'s acronyms stand for anymore. But
well, now Avengers has got to stand on their own, right?
yep, they have to stand on their own.
Okay.
But I don't know, something about Bucky's character is extremely fascinating to me too.
He's just
Well,
Captain America, just made evil. That's all it
Well,
is.
I like the fight from the past. It links the two eras together, which is good. I like this movie. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely not anything below a B for me.
Agreed.
I don't know if I like it as I think I personally like it as much as the original Captain America, which is I don't. But that's again, it's like a
Sounds
high
weird
B
to
for
say
me.
that, right?
It's like a high B for me.
Really?
I do like the character. I do like the character of Bucky. I do this movie. I enjoy the Captain America movies as a whole. They do turn into an Avenger movie and Civil War time, but
Yeah, we got there.
See,
yeah.
I'm not budging.
I think
Not every movie can be an A or a B.
no, and that's the thing. As I say, I think it would be. I personally would put it at A. So if we're gonna meet in the middle, I think B would probably be the middle ground then.
Yeah, I would say, like I said, high B. That's where I'm gonna land. I do think it's better than Thor 2. Me personally, that's just me.
But I think
I like both those movies.
if JP, well, Heather, are you feeling the same as JP on that one?
No, I'm closer to you guys.
So we'll meet in the middle, and I think B would be. I'm
Bobbit, what do you say?
So yes.
I give it an A.
yeah.
You're-
I know, but
Yeah. This is one that I think will end up in B, but might move up if things change. For me,
We all have to agree for it to move up to a B, and I'm not gonna happen.
all
Not
right.
gonna happen.
Cap 2 going over to B. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. A.
No,
what?
this one, I'm gonna give it a B.
Really?
See, I would give this one an A.
Yeah, I'm going.
I'm
A.
not gonna give it an A. The next one? No, wait.
This is the one that introduces the Infinity Stones.
No, I am gonna give this one an A
Okay.
because this one, I kind of figured what was gonna happen because what's Gamora
Mm-hmm.
is Thanos' daughter.
Yep.
And you now realize that I realized that Thanos was going to be the main bad guy in this whole fucking thing. I figured it out. I'm that fucking smart, though.
Well, they were kind of teasing it a
But
lot.
don't say anything after what he just said.
You fucking genius, baby.
I am.
First of all, the movie introduces. This is like the first time they go full space crazy, and they do it in such a fun-loving way. The soundtrack is amazing. The casting is great for everybody that's casted in this movie.
Yes.
And
There's not a
though
lot-
the villain, I'm not a huge fan of, but this is this is an introductory for many characters all at once, and it works very well.
to me, there's very little going against this movie. There's definitely things that you could literally find something to nitpick on every single one of these
Yes.
movies, but there are some
I did.
that have
This also takes place in space
It's
entirely.
video proof of it. Go back and watch the playlist.
This is the most fun movie in this whole list so far.
Yep.
Agreed.
So I think A is Bob. Are you in the same boat with A?
Oh God, yeah. This is one of my favorites.
Plus, no one expected this to be this way too, because this is one of those like obscure Marvel properties that like was not very well known, and so that kind of was like a nice 1-2 punch where it's like, okay, we've gotten like at this point, every movie is, and we've said this in the review too. Every movie is a sequel or continuation of a main Avenger character of some way, shape, or form, and now it's like we're going so far out of left field in so many different ways that it was, to quote Heather's line constantly, a breath of fresh air. Even if it's in space where you can't breathe. But it was, I think that it was, like I said, there was very, very, very little going against this movie.
I would go so far as to say that even though this was a movie about the heroes, this was the beginning of the story of the villain. This is a villain story.
I agree with that. Yeah. Well, it's a hero story introducing the villain for sure. Yeah. That's what I would say.
But I mean, I kind of figured it out when they had Gamora and she got critical thinking, man. But yeah, so it's just, I think it's essentially the story of Thanos. The beginning of the story of Thanos. It's an introduction to the story of Thanos.
I think it's
such a fun way.
It's what you're saying. It's also introducing the grandiose of him, or the grand scale of him. It's not just some purple grimace-looking fucker from space. This guy has meaning. This guy has purpose. This guy is a threat/force to be reckoned with. And despite dance off saving the galaxy.
I would also say, like, this is a movie that's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 9th installment that you really didn't have to watch anything else to go and have a good time at this movie.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to think what the end credit scenes were.
And I want to say this here fast. Oh, that's what I want to get to. It showed us Howard the fucking Duck.
Well, that's not why I don't care about Howard the Duck.
Nope, that's what did it for me. Right there with Bob at A all the way, just for Howard the Duck.
I wish they would do something with him.
But they do those things to get people to pop. That's
a little Easter
egg. What they do. It's just a.
All right, Avengers Age/Day of Ultron.
That is a hard C.
That's exactly where I was going to go with that.
I mean, yes, it advanced the Avengers story.
Yeah, I have to agree. Hard C.
Come on, man.
I think the biggest.
I agree.
The biggest disappointment is that in the comics,
it might be. It's like a high C for me.
No, not even high C. That is.
No, I can't make it a high C. I cannot make it a drink. I cannot make it a high C. It's got to be.
I mean, it's definitely a C, but the only reason I say it's a high C is because when we discussed it. What?
Let Basement finish, Bob. Go ahead.
When we discussed it, there was a lot more. We went a lot more in depth than I gave the movie credit for. Which is why I kind of see like movie making wise, but it has so many missteps.
Well, if you're looking at it from the grander scale of its impact in the MCU, yes, I can make the argument of
huge impact.
Huh?
It has a huge impact on the MCU.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're looking at it from if you're looking at a bigger story perspective, then yeah, because now you have you're planting the seeds for Civil War, which we'll get to that in a second with the next couple of movies as far as its impact. Hulk and Thor taken out of the equation. You're introducing Wanda Maximoff, you have Vision now. There's a lot of
the problem is
big setup.
This movie is when you think Avengers, you think end of chapter, moving forward to the next. This one is here's a chapter 12 or 10 or whatever the fuck. Like they didn't end really anything of any merit, but they planted the seeds for a lot. It does a lot for the MCU, and there's some genius in the filmmaking, but the movie overall isn't that entertaining at times. And as long
I
as
agree.
fuck.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think C is where it'll belong.
All right, this one's an S. Let's give Ant-Man an S. Let's just get this out of the way now.
I will crawl the screen and punch
I
you.
still haven't seen that movie, so I'm not even going to. Honestly, I'm not going to comment. I will say this right now. Just give it a D.
Better than Iron Man 3. This is my problem with Iron Man 3 being D. It's better than Iron Man 3, but it's not as good as Avengers Age of Ultron.
You can give it a high D and fucking Ant-Man a low D. It's okay.
He's going to give somebody the D. You know,
Yeah, I got to put somewhere. No, but it's not as good
as an actor. I think he's a good actor.
Man.
It's just too much comedy. It doesn't need it in the Marvel.
I mean,
in the MCU,
I'm loving this movie.
Paul
but
Rudd's
there's
the
certain things I
perfect
hate.
person for this type of shit. Just let me just stress this right now. Like,
I get it,
but
like I am.
I
can't give it a D.
Basement as far as being
I can't give it a D with good conscience, but I can't say it's as pivotal to the MCU as Age of Ultron. Even though I think I'd rather watch Ant-Man again than Age of Ultron.
All right. So can we all agree?
I'll pull the trigger.
I'll move Iron Man 3 to C.
Oh shit!
No, Iron Man 3 goes down
Iron
8
Man
steps.
3 where it's at.
Make an F, put it there.
I just leave it where it's at.
Yeah. Ant-Man's got to go C for me.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna have to pick.
It's a begrudging C, but that's where I would put Ant-Man.
Gotta go there. Yeah.
It's a C with the potential to go to D, and Iron Man 3 is D with the potential to get the fuck off the board.
Can I take it?
I'm not
against
that.
I just want to see if I could. All right.
They need to make Iron Man 3, in my opinion.
They didn't need to make Iron Man 3? No, I agree with you too. All right. So
you're putting it in D?
No, I'm putting Ant-Man in C.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Okay, so
What does it say?
That does it for phase 2. So that's the first 2 phases. So right now, as it stands, we've got Iron Man 3 at D. We've got Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man at C. Thor: The Dark World and Captain America: Winter Soldier at B, with Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America: The First Avenger, and Guardians of the Galaxy all at A. We have not hit an S tier yet, which is interesting.
Well, for a while for me.
You probably won't hit one.
I think I'm going to be the first one to recommend this next movie as an S.
I'm going A. I'm going A.
But I think Civil War should get S. I mean, if for nothing else, massive fucking ramifications.
Yeah, this is where the fucking shit gets.
I'll go no higher than a B.
I mean, it changed. It's definitely higher than a B. Definitely, it's a high A for me.
I will not go any higher than a B. I hated this movie.
There's so much.
I've said it numerous times. This should have been an Avengers movie.
Right.
Sorry.
So okay.
Oh, it's called The Avengers. Yeah. What would you give it?
Well, they didn't.
But Civil War, they just attached it to Captain America because he's probably featured the most. Slightly by.
I do want to see.
Didn't we look at this while we did the review, and it was like who got the most screen time, and he's up there. So.
Well, he's a goddamn Avenger, so he should be up there.
No, but like in screen time devotion, this like I don't mind the name Captain America: Civil War because it stems upon his belief. That's where the movie comes from. The heart of the movie is Captain America. And yes, Iron Man's there, but you're not going to call it Captain America and Iron Man Civil War.
The whole Civil War thing started more when
this is
Captain tried to lie to Tony about him knowing killed his parents.
He did lie to him.
It's not anything other than that.
Well, it's a mix of
Lots
things.
to do with the superheroes not wanting to sign an accord.
That's what started the movie, but that's not what got them fighting.
Not those two, but that's kind of what made the divide. That's why it's not an Avengers movie, because they're not assembling; they're fighting each other.
So get this:
that.
Steve Rogers' Captain America does have the most screen time on this movie at 38 minutes and 15 seconds. You want to know how much Tony Stark had? Because obviously he was the second
Right
most.
behind him. Right behind him.
So Iron Man or Captain America, 38:15. Tony Stark Iron Man, 37:15. Cap literally had 1 minute extra of screen time compared to Tony Stark.
Yeah, but like, I mean, who cares about the name? Movie wise,
I don't
it
give a
does
shit
so
about the
much for the MCU. I love the fact that the villain isn't superhero or super able.
Why do you think I
And-
said
Zemo is
B?
one of my favorite villains in the entire MCU
Yeah,
Why do you think I said B?
because there's
because
no
you
villain.
believe it's an S.
Oh.
No.
It's for me, it's an A. Even though I think if I had to like order those at the A group, this would be the first
If JP's
of the
going,
A's.
if JP's going B and I'm saying S, and Baseman's saying A, I think A would probably be again the middle ground area with this.
What do you say?
I agree with A.
See.
Bobbit?
I grasp the
Right.
story behind it better than JP does.
I was just saying C. She was gonna go with whatever A. It's fine to put it at A, but for me personally, if I am doing it, I'm not giving it any higher than B.
Okay, so
I can't believe you don't think it's better than Hulk and Avengers: Age of Ultron.
It is better.
Okay, so
But then
let's,
it's in the same group.
so let's throw this out there then. Let's say it was called Avengers Civil War. Would that change your ranking of it?
For me, probably.
Not that semantics make one.
Yeah, I'm just want to see what the mindset is. So if this was called Avengers Civil War, it would not radically, but it would increase your enjoyment of the movie.
I'm not saying that, but I am saying that it makes more sense. Even though the Avengers don't assemble, they're at odds. I can buy the fact that they're at the Avengers Civil War. Explains it. to me.
But the problem is when the Avengers are included, it's like a complete mindset. This is really Captain America turning his back on something he believed in for forever because they're operating in a way that he doesn't think is right.
I mean, I get both points in the sense of like I understand why they made it a Captain America movie, but I also get the point that's like, yeah, for fuck's sake, it's basically Avengers 2. That's the joke. It's a fucking Avengers 2.5 because you're featuring, except for Thor and Hulk, everyone.
You might
in this
feature
movie.
you might
Everyone.
feature them, but all they have is bit parts following a narrative from one of the two characters. You know what I mean?
They even introduced Black Panther and Spider-Man to the MCU in this movie too. Which, not saying that they had a huge significant impact, generally speaking, but just the fact that they introduced two new superheroes in this, new superheroes into the MCU, you know?
We'll get to Black Panther in a fucking minute.
I would say as a standalone, I wouldn't label it an Avengers movie, me personally. It has the Avengers in it, but that doesn't mean it's an Avengers movie because it doesn't really highlight there's two mindsets, and it's more Captain America movie than it is anybody else. And I get you, I get you.
I don't consider 1 minute of screen time that big of a difference.
Well,
No, but I
listen,
mean,
to any
then
guy,
it's
60 seconds can make it quite a bit. Of difference.
Anything, name the movie Captain America versus fucking Iron Man, because that's what fucking essentially happens.
well, what eventually happens is they fight each other, but that's the smaller version of what's actually happening between the group. And you know what I mean? Like, their fight is there, but the fight is kind of meaningless when people are split down the middle for how they should handle
Exactly
superheroes
my
moving
point.
forward.
The Avengers are at war with each other.
Yep. And it's the whole reason I argue this is the reason they lost in Infinity War. And yes,
Yes,
I think Cap is the reason that the Avengers lost in Infinity War.
It has major connotations for the future. It's an A, and the only reason I say that is because there's only one movie I think I'm considering being an S, but that's just me.
I think we're on the same page, but we'll get there. Doctor Strange. Ow. C for me.
D or D?
Depends on if I've had some libations. If I've had some libations, it's an S. If not,
C for me.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the movie. I think I said this. I didn't hate the movie.
No, I didn't either.
High C.
I'd give it a high C.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
High C.
I think that
Give me one of those.
It's one of those ones that, again, like where Cap and Thor, I think, are kind of. I know we kind of differ on Cap too a little bit, but where Cap and Thor are a little bit on the higher side of B, I think this is like CB. Floating or tiptoeing.
I find if you're paying attention to this, I can tell you right now, Black Panther D, and I'll tell you why. I am not going to give.
Oh, jeez.
I am not going. Well, you can't give Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, and then have Black Panther be a fucking S. Black Panther isn't a fucking Avenger.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think we're all gonna. Well, we'll see. I think there's one movie that we're all gonna collectively say is an S. I think there's gonna be one movie that we're gonna say is an S. But we'll get there. What is it?
Maybe
Ant-Man and Wasp. C.
Yeah,
everybody.
Or Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's gonna be the S ranking for
sure. Yeah, I did.
Yes, you did. You watched Ant-Man too. You just don't remember.
Doctor Strange is not a bad. It's kind of like I compare it to Ant-Man in the sense of like there's good things about it to enjoy, but there are other aspects of it that just kind of stop it from being any better than it was. If that makes any sense.
I agree. To be honest, like. It is what it is. Ant-Man introduces like a different part of the MCU too, just like Doctor Strange does. But it's just like Benedict Cumberbatch is a good actor, but he's Tony Stark but unlikable.
It's not just that though. It's like. You're with Thor or Guardians, right? You're introducing a relatively new genre or element in the MCU for the first time, and I think that they were trying to hope that that would be enough to save this movie. And while because
not enough.
There's a couple of instances, and this is kind of, I feel like this is a bit of an unfair. This is the one thing that I think is somewhat great but also unfair about the MCU movies is the comparison to the comics, because yes, you can create these great stories, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe sometimes takes their own version of those movies or those stories and characters and does their own versions, but like there are some that it's just like you're really fucking watering them down. Like Strange, Hank Pym is supposed to be one of the most brilliant minds in Marvel on the level of a Reed Richards or a Tony Stark as far as genius levels, and he, I somewhat like the idea of him being the mentor to fucking Scott Lang, but at the same time he takes a massive back seat. So my point is that the Doctor Strange one, it's like you're introducing a major powerful component to this giant universe you're expanding, and it just feels very subdued.
Yeah.
I also don't like the fact, and I said this when we reviewed it, it's a brand new power that we haven't looked at, and there's really no like understanding of it outside of here it is and it looks pretty.
Basically.
Where other things are a bit more like you can either look at, like for Thor, you can look in the past and see, oh, God of Thunder, okay. You can look at Iron Man and be like, he's got a suit and he works in like making missiles and shit like that and making weaponry, so it makes sense. With Doctor Strange, it's just like, here's magic. What are the limitations? There is none.
I mean,
Whatever we want, we get.
It is an origin story again, which I get is kind of like
It
that's
also
a tough
gives him
balancing
magic for
act,
being a
but like
complete
still,
fucking
it's just
dick.
like sheesh.
I mean, I like Doctor Strange. I like it more than most of the things that are in the C tier.
Yeah.
But in the C tier is where it will end up for me. Hi, C.
Orange high seat.
Ecto Cooler.
shit.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Well, it's a B.
I was
It's a B for me.
just thinking the same thing. It's definitely not as good as the first one, but it doesn't.
It still expands on the story.
I don't want to say it's like worse than the first one. It's hard to.
Worse than the first one for me. It's
I mean,
good
it
though.
is,
It's a good movie.
But like it's. I feel like it's a disservice saying it's worse than the first one, which I mean technically it is. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's like not.
I think it's just the newness of being introduced to these characters kind of hurts this movie because we already know them.
Yeah,
But it's still a good movie. B is where it belongs for me.
I think B. What about you guys? Bobbit, Heather, Basement, or JP?
B.
Bobbit?
Wake up. Okay. First of all, I want to go back to Age of Ultron for a minute. It's me.
No, you don't.
In Age of Ultron, I had my favorite Iron Man suit of all time, which was the Hulkbuster outfit. Civil War, I put an S. Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, fine. Guardians Volume 2, personally, for me, I'd put an A, but
You think it was good as the first one?
but as far as ranking goes, yeah, I agree with B.
You think Guardians 2 was as good as Guardians 1?
But that's just
I mean, yeah, that's fine. I was just curious if you thought that they were both on equal footing. I did like the Yondu scene at the end of Guardians 2, by the way. That was plus Star-Lord's part God, so there's that going for him. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Didn't see it, so I'm not going to comment. D.
B. I think this is a B for me.
Really?
I mean, I like the villain, and I like
I did love the villain. I did.
the interactions they have in it.
Oh. Okay.
And it also links or it piggybacks off of what happened in New York and
Civil War.
like does involve some things, you know. So I and this is like the introduction to Tom Holland as Spider-Man, which works, but eventually grinds my gears.
I'm torn about this one in terms of putting it either C or B, because
I think it's better than some of the C's, and not as good as some of the B's.
Yeah, it's right in the middle. Because the thing is like, for the record, I did not hate this movie. I thought that this was, but I think that, and we probably talked about this in the review, is that like, it's a very like by the numbers, neutral, very like just standard. It didn't go crazy with the stakes. It kept things grounded. Which is both good and bad. You know, we've seen like we've clear, and plus to fucking follow some of the Spider-Man predecessors before this. Those are tough shoes to fill.
yeah.
You know what? It might be high C. It might be high C because I'm thinking now about like what comes after, and I don't know if I could.
Far From Home was we'll get there, but it was a massive step up.
This is my worry, where like this is where the tier system fucks you in the ass because a lot of these things don't deserve to be next to each other. Spider-Man.
I would put Homecoming as a C personally. Do I think that Spider-Man Homecoming is better than some of the ones in the C tier list? Yes, but I would not put Spider-Man Homecoming on the same level as Thor: The Dark World or Guardians Volume 2. And
I'm saying, like, Spider-Man would be the first in the list of the C's for me.
Yeah.
Followed by Doctor Strange, Probably.
And I put Ant-Man on the S tier where it should belong. But the point is that I think Homecoming. I that's just me. What about? I mean, JP. I know you didn't say it. Heather. What about you?
I definitely put it around a C.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I'm sorry, I have not seen it, so I
That's
can't
all right.
speculate.
So I think we're good with keeping it at C then.
I will say this: still not as good as a Tobey Maguire fucking Spider-Man. I don't
No,
care. what anybody
it's not.
I agree with you on
I
that
agree
one.
with that. Except for the third one, which was
But
asked.
the third one, I can agree. Yes.
Well, we had
Bobbit,
To-
you got it
we
at a
had
C
Dancing
or a B
Toby.
or an A or S?
Oh, C all day for sure. High
I
C.
actually,
Right.
yeah, high C. Yeah, join me in high C.
All right, so Black Panther.
B.
S, all the way S to the top.
Mm.
Would you
B.
say JP?
D.
B?
What? I mean, the only thing that what did it do for the Avengers?
Introduce Wakanda, which was already introduced, kind of.
So you said
But it
B,
fleshed it out.
you said B like on the same level of Thor, Guardians 2, and Cap 2, right?
No, he said D.
Oh.
B is in yes.
Dog.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put it that low. I definitely would not put it on the same level as Iron Man 3.
Yeah, go ahead. I got to rant afterwards.
It was an unnecessarily made movie, in my opinion.
Oh.
I mean, then so is Spider-Man: Homecoming. Then, technically speaking, you didn't have to do a Spider-Man: Homecoming. Is there?
Didn't have to do any of them, to be honest.
No.
They could have done the same thing with all the other Spider-Man movies that they did with the Hulk movie there and retconned it in.
Black Panther is tricky for me. I will say this: it's not an A. It is not an A.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. No.
But I don't think it's a D either. I think it falls again in between the B to C range. I think that it would be a. Fuck.
Yeah.
I think that it would be. High C, B, low B. That's kind of where I'm gonna grab a drink. But I'll let Basement go on his rant. But that's tough. But it would fall for me. It would fall somewhere in there.
See, I watched this movie after all the fucking world ejaculated over it and said, "There's the best thing since sliced bread," which it wasn't. This thing got a fucking Academy Award nomination for Movie of the Year or something. I'm like, what else was released? Because Jesus Christ, it's not even the best movie in the MCU. It's not even close to being the best movie in the MCU. It's an okay Marvel movie for me. You have to also take into account the fact that the characters were good up until I didn't care about them. Like I really liked the villain until he just became full evil immediately. After he gets power and he's just the worst person alive apparently. And the CGI was ass in a movie that's made by Marvel. The CGI was disgusting. Especially towards the end. You have two CGI people in suits fighting against each other. Why does it have to be full CGI? Why? Just put suits on these people. Make them fight each other. I mean, Wakanda is pretty cool and everything, but the movie for me...
This is not Iron Man 3 level. I will.
It's not. It's definitely not. But for me, this is a... And I'm going to take the fact... This is an F, taking into the expectations that people gave me. But as a movie, watching it in the MCU, it's a C.
I can still put it on the level of Iron Man 3, but is it better than Iron Man 3? Absolutely.
So high D.
Yeah. But I'm still going to give it a D. I'm not. Look.
It's not something I care to rewatch. The acting was okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't in love with any of the people acting in the movie. I thought like they did a good job with the guy that played Smeagol. And he was decent in it. And the villain, Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan, did a great job. Chadwick Boseman is like just steady Eddie in terms of how he plays the role.
the movie itself, I didn't really have too much problems with it, to be honest with you. I think like it didn't. The biggest detriment was the overhype. 100%. That is the biggest detriment to this movie.
That's what killed it for me. Yeah.
Is the over? It is absolutely. I would dare say this.
The Academy Award nomination is like what?
Yeah, that's. I think that's what kind of goes against this for me personally. Is that I feel like it's, again, I'm not saying it is a bad movie per se, but I think the fact that it is overhyped to the point where people are saying it should be on the S tier ranking as an S. Absolutely not. I think that there are far better Marvel movies in the MCU compared to Black Panther. That being said, I can still appreciate some of the aspects of this movie. I think Killmonger's a pretty damn good villain, all things considered. There is some plot conveniences to his background, but I'll suspend my disbelief. I think that the CGI is there.
It
when it
works until it doesn't. To be honest, it's fine until that last fight scene, and then it's hideous.
Again, when I started this, I said I will base my opinion off of what the movie does for Marvel.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't do anything for the Avengers, which is what this is all about. In my opinion, watching all of these movies that I said I would never ever fucking watch, number one.
I love you,
dude.
It
does give an explanation for some of the higher tech and the vibranium.
You could have made mention of it without having to make another fucking movie about it. That's all I'm saying.
Like the character of Black Panther would have worked better paired with an existing property.
Well, they did that in
its world building.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's characters that never got their time to shine outside of the Disney Plus shows. So, like, Black Widow and Hawkeye, pairing one of the other characters like that with this to introduce the world and stuff like that would have given it a bit more credence. They introduced a lot, but I found a lot of the characters just be there.
It's a lot of world building. That's the biggest takeaway as far as the bigger MCU is that it introduced this area of Wakanda and the history behind it, and this like cultural aspect to the MCU, which I enjoyed. I actually enjoyed that part of it, to be honest with you. But that's really the biggest takeaway.
But they didn't need to make a 2.5-hour movie out of it.
There's a few of these that didn't have to make 2.5-hour movies out of them.
No, they're almost all too long. For me, it's an average movie.
I'm willing to go see on Black Panther.
I'm like, there's no reason for it to ever be nominated for Academy Award.
Agreed.
And that hurts it as a whole. It might have ended up in the B category, low B. But
let me be
the hype is too much.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Basement. Let me be very clear, because Black Panther got a shit ton of Academy Awards. Some of them, absolutely, in the sense of like costume design. I can sort of believe some of them, but like the best picture one. I'm sorry, no.
Best picture is just Hollywood pandering. Yeah, and it hurts the movie, and we all agree upon that. Like,
that's not why I'm giving it a low grade. That is not why I'm giving it a low grade.
No, I'm just saying that to me, that's the biggest detriment of this movie.
Biggest.
But. I mean, by far the best thing about this movie is what Conor pinpointed. Outside of the fact that they have established like the culture of Wakanda, that's basically a brand new place that exists on Earth with all this technology. But they also, it's weird because it doesn't really make any sense. They operate like tribespeople, yet they can create a chamber you sit in and get cured from anything. So it's like, at some point in time, that technology would reach a bit further out. It's like, oh, we don't talk to the people that live on the mountains. It's like, how convenient for that not to make any logical sense to me.
I mean, yeah, it's
and the plant thing. I wasn't down with the plant thing.
I just I personally thought the best part was like Killmonger's like, yeah, destroy all the other plants. It's like, Finally, someone's actually fucking thinking.
Yeah,
Because why wouldn't you do that? Anyway,
Right.
I'm going with C on this one for me.
it was a weird combination of like super tech and very
Primitiveness.
old primitiveness that would never exist if a culture got that
I mean,
advanced.
It is. Would it happen in real life? Absolutely not. Neither would.
Oh,
Thor.
none of this shit would really. Yeah. None of this shit would happen in real life. It's just because it's taking place on Earth that I can look at it in an enclosed society that I can say, like, does it make a lot of sense? No, but it does tell an alright story. Don't get me wrong. The movie's fine. It's just Best Picture. No, there's better movies in the MCU than Black Panther. C is where it stands for me, and C is where it will end up.
I also have to think that like, if we're gonna talk about like, and I know this is something we try never to do in the roundtable, but it always fucking happens because I break my own rules every fucking time. I understand now that what they were probably doing is that Marvel, for better or for worse, does leave Easter eggs and certain things for certain movies relatively open enough that they can go down several different avenues, whether it be the Infinity War, the Thanos stuff, or other avenues. Because obviously at the time of this, we're doing the stream, the next big movie is going to be Black Panther 2. And there's a bunch of different ways that they can go about this in terms of like, you know, they could introduce more mutants into the MCU. They could introduce, supposedly Ironheart is going to be in this one, which is a girl who has like the same intelligence level as Tony Stark's and makes her own Iron Man suit. So the point is that like, in the context of the first three phases, yeah, Black Panther doesn't really do a whole lot as far as bigger picture of MCU other than create a home for Winter Soldier to heal so he can get dusted away in the next movie, and then and world building and the cultural aspect
Make
of
a
it.
case for like higher tech that the rest of the world
that
doesn't
too.
have, which does work.
But maybe there could be more. You know, it's probably going to be better suited if we're looking at a bigger picture, but we're not going to know that until like another 5 years from now, or whatever the fuck it is. But I'm going with C on this one. I think that's B to me is kind of
Too high.
I don't feel comfortable putting it at a B. Put it that way.
It's not as good as Guardians 2, and it's not as good as.
No.
I mean,
I know.
Yeah,
This is
all right.
This is tough.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok.
This is definitely
A B.
high B, low A for me.
A B. It's not as. It's better than Thor Dark World or Thor. Yeah, Thor Dark World. For me.
That's the problem with this fucking tier system.
Yeah.
Because it's
I'm
better than
right.
Thor Dark World.
Heather
But
and I
it's
are on the
not-
exact same page. High B, low
not
A.
a- Yeah.
I agree.
Thor Ragnarok. I love the style of this movie.
Me too.
I really do. And I mean, it kind of the change in Thor. He needed some lightheartedness to come into his storyline because I don't think the second movie was regarded very well. But just fucking don't know if I can put it. It can't be put up there with Civil War.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's exactly where Heather said it. Heather said it best. High B, low A. So it's gonna be a B.
But if you ask me, I'd rather watch Thor Ragnarok than Avengers, the original.
Agreed.
Yes.
This is the problem. It's a very entertaining
So
movie.
do we want to? Okay. Does that mean we want to bump Avengers down then?
I can't bump Avengers down.
Can we?
I feel like we should order them in the tiers that they're in.
I don't think I can do
In
that.
all
I can
honesty,
do that. Oh shit.
yeah,
Okay. We can do that
because
after.
like,
we can do that after.
all right, good.
So Thor Ragnarok. Do we want to put B?
I'm gonna put it as B. Yes.
Yeah. I can't. That's what I said. I love the movie. The Thor movies are my favorites. They're yeah.
So
I still think Thor Ragnarok is better than Thor Dark World, but
It is.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's not better than some of the things in A.
all right. So
No.
No.
I think this
gonna
one.
prop.
I think this is the one that we're all gonna push for towards the top. Are we all pushing for Infinity War to be towards the top?
The best MCU movie
Yeah.
ever. This is S for me.
I think this is the S. JP, is there any movie on here that's an S for you?
Something's gonna end up in the S.
In all
and if I had to
honesty,
look at all of them,
No.
Yeah, I figured not. I figured JP wasn't gonna put an S. I'm pushing.
This
If we're gonna put anything, if we're gonna put any of these movies, any one in the S, it's gonna be Infinity War for me.
this is the best MCU movie that they've made. For me, it's an S. That's just
I can't
it.
disagree with
So
that.
okay, so JP, if you had to put one of these movies in the S tier, one. I can see him shaking his head.
Thor. Thor's if I'm again
This
if I'm
is
basing it off the
Much better than Thor.
what I like, Thor.
You put the first Thor movie as an S tier.
But again, I'm not doing that. Now, what I will agree with, and you're probably going to put it S, which is fine, is that the final two movies could possibly be S because they're the
Final Two Avengers.
finale. They're the finale of everything that happens.
Yep.
The Endgame and Infinity War. They're the finale of what happens in. I will say that they do a pretty good job in the end here of giving a main event. Like a WrestleMania main event, if that
get
makes
that
sense
vibe.
to anybody.
No.
You get that vibe.
There's plenty of little things that we clearly, you can go back and watch the reviews, nitpicked about these. But that being said, I think that considering the massive undertaking the Russo brothers had to endure with a a challenge of unlike anything that's ever been done in cinematic history, I think that they pretty much knocked it out of the park with these two. And it's funny because when we started this, me and Basement were on the opposite ends. I said that Endgame was better than Infinity War, and he said Infinity War was better than Endgame. And I stand here, a changed man, and do agree with him that Infinity War was if we were going to compare the two.
And everybody.
It is Thanos' movie. It's S.
But it's about time, you know what I mean? It's the only movie devoted to a villain in the entire MCU.
Yep. So I'm gonna Heather, Bob, you guys on what do you guys think?
I could see Infinity War going in S because it made more sense and actually finished the story a little better than Endgame did.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do that, just put Endgame in there too. I'm sorry.
They're one movie in my mind, but we'll get there. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. It's
Honestly, JP, I'd be there with you too. But we'll get there when we get there.
Go ahead, Bob.
For me, yeah, I'd put those are my two favorite movies in the whole MCU.
Okay, but where do you put them?
I guess.
Where do you
both
put
of them
Infinity War?
S.
Okay, he puts it at S.
S.
I might as well put both of them up there now. So
Yes.
I'll put Endgame and Infinity War both up there.
You got to think about, like, first of all, yeah, the massive undertaking, like you said, you're combining a bunch of movies all at once, and to keep the style of all movies in one, and to manage like 10 different storylines and make it make sense to the viewer and make it not drag to the viewer and get to a point where, I mean, this for me is Infinity War, at least. Endgame is good as well, but Infinity War is the magnum opus for MCU, and I don't think anybody will ever convince me otherwise. Though Endgame is good, it's I have my gripes with it more than I have with
Time
Infinity
travel
War.
makes me want to bleed out my ears.
Well, it's that. It's
You
also the
are
fact that,
not
like,
incorrect.
No, honestly, that is most of Endgame I can actually enjoy and have on similar levels of Infinity War, but the two biggest gripes about it for me is the time travel aspect, which also kind of coincides with Thanos Part Two.
Yeah, Thanos Part Two is Thanos Part Two for me hurts the first movie because Thanos Part Two is just a generic villain. You might as well call him Killmonger.
You could look at it as like, oh, it's someone wrote something about like the idea of like Thanos was prepared for the Avengers the first time, and the Avengers weren't, which is why they failed. Versus the 2014 Thanos in Endgame wasn't prepared for the Avengers, and the Avengers were prepared. You know what I mean? Like,
what's more scary to face someone that's the same physically but has life experience versus someone that doesn't have that experience, that is willing to just give it up to be they ruined his ideals in Endgame, which is what hurts it for me, because he was such an interesting character in the first and Infinity War. But to me, those are the two best Marvel movies for sure: Endgame and Infinity War.
Let's kick off the final three movies of Phase 3 with Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I will argue it was. See that fucking the system.
It's a C for me.
It's better than Ant-Man. I think it's better
than
the first one,
but it's nowhere close to Thor Ragnarok. That's why we gotta fucking rate them individually afterwards.
This movie has many insects, Ant-Man's wasps, but it will never have bees.
That was such a bad joke.
Let me eat that honey.
Yeah, I'd go C in this case. This is another high. This is another drink for me, another high C. But definitely, this one does not go into B territory. Nope.
Yeah, I'd go the opposite direction. It's a C, but it could very easily also be a D for me.
No, the next one's a D for me.
Oh,
yeah. We're gonna get there. So I'm good with Ant-Man and Wasp being at C. How about you guys?
Yeah, I agree.
C, yeah.
Sure.
All right.
It's a fun movie, but it doesn't advance shit for me. Well, it kind of does.
Captain Marvel goes right to D.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
So the only redeeming quality about Captain Marvel is the soundtrack. That's it.
That track was pretty decent. This is frustrating on a lot of levels. Basement, did you finish it yet?
I can tell you, I tried to watch this twice. I got 15 minutes in the first time. I got about 35 or 40 minutes in the second time, and I fell asleep. The movie is just so it's bland. It's Wonder Bread. It's just so bland. I don't like none of the characters exude anything I want to see more than the first 40 minutes show me, or 30 minutes show me. I think Captain Marvel is completely miscast. She just comes off wrong. I mean, there's a bunch of the women in the MCU that do it fucking great. I think she's the worst casting they've ever done.
How the fuck are we supposed to... This is my hill to die on. How are we supposed to invest into a character when the character doesn't know who the fuck she is for 90% of the movie? The whole amnesia idea is cool for a sequel or for another movie where we've already well established the character. Imagine if this is how Iron Man was introduced.
Oh God,
it'd be stupid because
the last line would be, "I am Iron Man."
That's my problem with this. You're introducing a new character at the wrong time, by the way, right between two of the biggest Avengers movies at the end of the. Not only a new character in the middle of all this shit, one of, if not the most powerful characters in the middle of all this shit. And it's like, why should we give a rat's ass if she doesn't even know who the fuck she is?
Here's the other thing. Like I find, well, I found in Thor Ragnarok Valkyrie to be unlikable, right? But it was unlikable because her character was supposed to be on rough times or whatever. Brie Larson as Captain Marvel is just, you might as well have hired a wet blanket. Because it's all of her line delivery is dead to me. She doesn't have the comedic timing she needs for me at all. She might be a great actress in like dramatic roles, but in the Marvel role, I'm
She
hoping-
is pretty good. She was in 21 Jump Street. She was the high school girl.
yeah,
in
she was
21.
good in that. She was good
in
in
that.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. She was good in a bunch of things, but this just does not fit. It didn't gel for me, man.
I'm hoping
it did
she
not
can
gel.
redeem herself in the Marvels, where she has other really, pretty decent actresses to bounce off of.
I mean, even when she's trying to be like joking, she looks like she's got like an 18-foot dick. Stick up her ass.
My thing about this makes me cringe with her and her comedic timing. Remember the scene where she was hanging upside down and she came off? Does anybody know how to get these things off? No? Okay, and then just started punching people. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, part of that is not her. Part of that was also, and they admitted this. This is something that was admitted much later on after the development. Was that
I don't think she was given enough to work with, to be honest.
I was about to say they were still. Captain Marvel was filmed at the same time of the two Avengers movies, and they even admitted that like the writers and the producers were trying to figure out her character as they were going along with it. So it was a massive uphill battle for a lot of different reasons. So I don't blame Brie Larson completely. I just think that the entire movie was just it was just bad.
I'm gonna say like
bad, wrong movie, wrong place, wrong time, wrong script, wrong everything.
take all the real world stuff that happened with her on the press tour and all this shit afterwards. Take that out of the equation. I know she's not a bad actress, and I know she's good at what she does. My problem is I don't think they gave her enough. I don't think the movie was well enough, and I don't think she suited the role. And on top of that, yeah, there is that whole press junket where she kind of like condemns the fan base. That's not a good look ever.
no
She shit on
that
her.
didn't help her either. All right, last but not least, Spider-Man: Far From Home. This
I didn't
one,
see this, so I don't know.
B for me. It's
That's what
better
I'm
than the
saying.
first one.
B.
I like the they do something interesting with the villain that I like, and I like who they cast. So also they give more of the like side characters more to do and more to say a bit more. Like Zendaya, who I fucking hated in the first movie,
She's barely in the
gets a
first
bit.
one.
Yeah, I know, but like she might as well be just replaced by a block of wood.
True.
In the second movie, she's got a bit more, even though I'm not like. She just. I'm sure she was directed to emote. Not at all. Because her character is supposed to be this like teenager that doesn't really give a shit about anything.
I can't remember if you were, because I know you lost your internet the day we did the Spider-Man: Far From Home review last week, Basement. But did you know when Mysterio was mentioned in this movie, like where things might have gone with him? Like, did you know his supervillain origin?
No.
Okay. I did, because I'm like, oh, I know. So part of me saw it coming a mile away, but I did like the spin they did with it. It's a double-edged sword of the spin they did with it being related to Tony Stark.
They linked in the movie they linked it to, and yes, there's a reason behind everything that he's doing. I just love the fact that he Mysterio wasn't just him; it was a team of people.
Yeah. Yep. Also, I have a soft spot. I don't know if you were on this part of it or not, but personally, there's a scene in that movie that really got me emotional, and it's the scene where he is getting picked up by Happy in the flower field, and he's stitching him up, and he's like, it's the shit hits the fan moment. Like you see Tom Holland like crying. He's like, how am I supposed to relax when I fucked up so badly? And like the whole like he misses a Tony. God, I can't even talk about it. That scene.
I will
just,
say like the MCU has actors that are better than the movie.
Yeah, no shit.
Like Tom Holland, yeah, he's getting pigeonholed as whatever he is, but he's actually quite good. And he's not alone. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's in this movie, and Jake Gyllenhaal's fantastic.
He did a great job as Mysterio. All right, we did it. We got through it.
What Heather had to go to the bathroom. What? So Far From Home, what would you give it?
I'm good with where they put it.
Okay. I didn't see it. I see bits and pieces of it.
I think it's better than Homecoming. I'll say that much. I think it is.
I might have to check them out. I'm just not. They ruined it. There's too many fucking Spider-Man movies for me, man.
I mean, that's a given. There's like 12 of them now.
I mean, it's
shit.
the most popular Marvel franchise. So, I mean,
do you want to rearrange these, or?
I'm looking at that. That's what I was actually about to say. Like, do we want to change any of these up?
Well, I can give you right now for D. I think Captain Marvel's better than Iron Man 3.
What the next review is going to be of?
We're doing WandaVision.
Nope, not happening. Fuck that shit. I am not watching.
I still have to watch the entire show.
I
do too.
You know what's funny? I just finished. I rewatched WandaVision, and just saying this because obviously I watched everything as it came out. WandaVision was a much more enjoyable experience in a bulk watch than it was week to week. Week to week,
I think
it was extremely frustrating.
I think 90% of shows are better watched because there's things people forget. Life happens. And you don't catch the nuances or what the actual creators are putting in place. And you'd be like, okay, as long as they hit these story beats, it's okay if you watch it week to week. But you binge it, you get a lot more out of it.
Especially for the tone of this show. And what they do a little bit differently with it, which we'll talk about next week. But yeah, so WandaVision's the next thing on our list, since we're now starting with the MCU.
Just doing it one day, one shot. You're not doing it.
No,
episode.
No, because no.
What's after that?
You guys through enough torture as it is with all this Marvel shit. So
what's after that?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Not doing that either.
Then after that is Loki.
Not doing that either.
Then comes Black Widow.
That I'll be there for.
Okay. Then is What If.
Not doing that either.
Then Shang-Chi.
I will do that.
Then Bobbitt's favorite movie, Eternals.
Hold on. Didn't Eternals come out before Shang-Chi?
Nope, Shang-Chi came out first.
Watch Shang-Chi then.
Shang-Chi is I'm a massive fan of that movie.
I've seen all of it. Non-spoiler clips of it. Fucking beautiful, man.
It's visually a fantastic. We'll get there.
I have managed to elude 90% of that movie somehow. So I'm looking forward to watching it. Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi and Eternals. I don't really know much about either of them.
Perfect.
For the most part, so that's good.
And
Loki.
About both of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking blast all over the place.
Not only do I love Shang-Chi like Conor does, but my fucking truck is in the movie.
Your actual truck or your truck make?
I think you meant his actual you see him.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. He's like, hey guys,
buddy, thank you. Go ahead, Bobbit. Hurry up.
Oh no! Go ahead, JP.
I'm just saying, I'm going to bed.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, JP.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All D's. Good night, everybody. Everybody dies in the first 5 minutes.
All D's nuts. So I'm trying to remember the orders of everything now. So it's WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki Season 1, Black Widow, What If Season 1, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Hawkeye, Spider-Man No Way Home, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, Miss Marvel, Thor, Love and Thunder, which is where we're caught up at this point in time. So that's the lineup for Phase 4. I think honestly, I'm pretty good with where everything is as it is on the list here.
Yeah.
I would obviously
I feel
personally
like-
move some of my own, but
I mean, if we wanna like look at like where they are tier wise,
Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's see. Infinity War definitely better than Endgame. Let's do that.
I think Iron Man 3 is the worst movie of all of them. Even though I didn't see
disagree.
all
I think
of
Captain
Captain
Marvel's
Captain
worse.
Marvel?
I think Captain
Yeah?
Marvel's worse than Iron Man 3.
Okay, well, I'm
I
fine
agree
with that
with
because I
that.
only watched 45 minutes of it and I wanted to kill myself.
See?
As far as the C tier goes,
Jesus Christ. Okay. I think
I might
that
put Avengers Age of Ultron first, personally,
You're gonna go lay down too.
because of the impact it has on the MCU as a whole. That's just me.
I think
It's not the best movie of the bunch, that's for sure.
no shit. The best of the C tier? Shit.
What's your favorite movie in the C tier?
It would
Doctor Strange?
It would actually probably be.
Black Panther?
It would either be Black Panther or Spider-Man: Homecoming. And the reason is because while they didn't have as much impact on the MCU, the stories by themselves were pretty solid. Like solo on their own. They both had good villains. I probably lean more towards Spider-Man more than Black Panther personally.
I was about to say that too, because though they both had good villains, I think the Spider-Man villain is more complete, where Killmonger is kind of he's good until he's not good written wise. I'm just saying.
What's the worst of these in the Iron Man 2 or no? I think Hulk, right?
Hulk is
probably Hulk. Yeah, probably Hulk.
So then Hulk would be bottom. Spider-Man, Black Panther, Avengers 2.
They're strange.
Yeah, and then
I
would
Ant-Man.
I would put Ant-Man and the Wasp above Ant-Man. Personally,
I would
too. Yeah,
I would too as well. Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then Ant-Man, and then Iron Man.
Iron Man 2 and then Hulk. Okay, all right, cool. The B one. Oh God.
I think out of them all, I think my favorite is Thor Ragnarok. Me personally.
See, for me, it would go Thor Ragnarok, Guardians 2, Winter Soldier, Spider-Man, and then Dark World.
One, actually. Dark World's definitely at the end for me.
See,
personally,
I would put Winter Soldier in the top 2. Personally, if we're fuck.
The thing is, I don't feel like Thor Ragnarok and Guardians 2 should be the top 2 because they're kind of similar vibe. It's just fucking.
Well,
Christ.
The thing is that like Guardians 2 was a continuation of the first Guardians and what made it successful, right? Thor Ragnarok, one of the reasons it was so successful was because it deviated so differently from the last movie.
And it reinvigorated Thor as a character.
And it became so bright.
Yeah, I would put Thor Ragnarok, I'm gonna stand by Winter Soldier hard, and then I would do Spider-Man, Thor: Dark World, and then Guardians.
I wouldn't do that. I would do Thor Ragnarok. I'd go with Captain America.
Yep.
And then I would go with Guardians, Spider-Man, and Thor. That's what I would personally do.
It's tough. That's tough because I feel like Spider-Man: Far From Home had.
It's good. They're all good. Okay, they're all good.
What's the problem?
It's just where they belong.
Now we're getting to the fucking splitting hairs part here. Fuck.
even then, Thor Ragnarok, I could say, and these are all almost where the. I mean, yes, I think I like Thor Ragnarok more than Spider-Man. I like it more than Guardians 2, and I like it more than Dark World. But Winter Soldier's up there, man.
I think Dark World would have to be at the bottom if we're gonna
I
do
think
it that way.
Dark World is, in my opinion, the worst of the bunch.
Mainly because of the villain. That is the key. In my, I mean, Heather, what are you thinking?
That's what I said. I said Thor Ragnarok, Guardians 2, Captain Winter Soldier, Spider-Man, and then Dark World.
I think for the MCU though,
we're killing each other over.
Winter Soldier is so important for the rest of the MCU, or more important for the MCU than a lot of the others. Like I think it's Thor.
I think that's why
Dark World is the worst.
I think that's why.
And then I'm gonna put Spider-Man.
I think that's why I'm like so hesitant about putting Guardians 2 any higher, because Guardians 2 doesn't really have
any
major
impact.
MCU impact.
Yeah,
it's still a great movie, but like aside from establishing Ego as a Celestial and Star-Lord as a half god.
So Thor Dark World's last for sure.
Yes.
Following that is either for me, Guardians 2 or Spider-Man.
Correct. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
And I might put Guardians 2 there, personally.
Heather, what would you
Both
say?
are entertaining
You
rewatches.
said Guardians 2 would be underneath Thor Ragnarok?
Yes.
So what if we did Thor Ragnarok as the top, Cap 2,
okay.
Guardians 2, Spider-Man, Thor.
Spider-Man and then Dark World. That works for me.
I mean, I could interchange Guardians 2 and Spider-Man.
I could switch up very easily.
But I think that's the right choice that we made.
All right, now to kill ourselves for sure, let's do that A tier, shall we?
Oh, for fucking Christ, man! The Avengers movie is definitely last. In my opinion,
Civil War is my favorite. Guardians of the Galaxy right behind it, because it encapsulates what should be a superhero movie. In my honest opinion, it's just fun.
I think
and a lot of the other movies have that missing.
I think Cap 1 needs to be right above Avengers. I think if Avengers is the bottom of the barrel, Cap 1 is right above it.
I would go Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
What about you, Heather? Would you change anything around?
I agree with that.
So Civil War, Guardians, Thor, Iron Man, Cap, and Avengers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
I like it.
That was actually infinitely better than easier than the B tier ranking.
And then
the ones who are left here on the call, considering somebody left, are actually in fair agreement with most of these movies.
Bob,
and then for me,
these rankings, do you think we're in the same boat roughly?
He did say yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a problem with any of this.
All right. So just to kind of recap, as far as where we would rank the entire MCU, from number 1 all the way to number 23, the number 1 movie would be Avengers: Infinity War, followed by Endgame, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America: First Avenger, the first Avengers movie, Thor Ragnarok, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Guardians 2, Spider-Man: Far From Home, Thor: The Dark World, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Black Panther, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man the Wasp, Ant-Man, Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 3, and the bottom of the barrel, Captain Marvel. Whew.
What's really tripping me out is it's 23 movies, but it doesn't look like it's 23 movies.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, it's 23 movies.
I mean, the only ones, in my opinion, that aren't worth watching are the 2 we have in the D tier. Every other movie you'll probably have fun watching. Some of them are turn your mind off.
Any of the others,
I believe there's a redeemable quality in almost every one of these movies, but the D ones are very, very, very minimal. In fact,
Yeah.
the Iron Man 3 thing, the only thing I will say that is cool is seeing all the suits at the end. That is probably the only thing I will say to watch it for, is the giant suit fucking chaotic riot that happens towards the end of the movie. Other than that,
That
we're
is
good.
the best part. And the fucking Guy Pearce spitting flames for some fucking reason. He turned
I thought
into
you
a
were gonna talk
dragon halfway through.
Name's Trevor Slattery. Bloody hell.
No.
But anyway.
God, whoever Guy Pearce's agent is should be shot and killed. He was great in Memento. After that, oh my God, was it downhill?
Wait, what the guy who played Trevor Slattery?
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be the last time you see him.
I think it's.
Oh, no.
Trevor Slattery. It's the guy that spits fire? Because that's him.
No. The guy who played the fake Mandarin.
Oh no, that's fine. The actor is great.
Okay.
The Guy Pearce is the white dude that spits fire.
Oh yeah.
Great in Memento. Memento is a great movie.
Oh, you breathe fire now. Is that the thing? But anyway, all right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks to JP, Heather, Basement, and Bobbit for joining us this fun little bonus edition of the Marvel Roundtable, doing this S tier ranking system. Of course, let us know your thoughts on the ranking system. How would you guys rate certain movies or rank them? Do you guys agree with our list? Do you disagree vehemently? Would you put things higher, lower? Let us know in the comments, because I'm sure you guys are gonna barrage us like crazy. And thank you to everybody in the chat who joined us too. We did try to kind of keep up. It was kind of tricky because we were going at such a rapid pace. Plus, I know pretty much everybody disagreed with us at some point in time during these, which is fine. It's it was a challenging fun to have a group of to put all these things together. So I think we'd have some different fun with it. Anyway, this is going to wrap it up here. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. If you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, share, all that fun hoopla. We will have some more fun goodies coming at you this week. I believe Wednesday we'll probably do our regular gaming live streaming. And then Friday we'll probably be back with some HGGM as we are getting close to the next big pay-per-view. And then back once again for No Bucks Given. But if you guys are coming back next week for some more of the Marvel Roundtable review goodiness, we are actually going to be kicking off officially with Phase 4 as we start to dive into the Disney Plus original programming as we explore the fractured and shattered PTSD mind of one Wanda Maximoff as she embraces